Greetings, my name is Andrew Campbell and welcome to Gorehound. Today I will be talking pretentiously about oh my god.
Finishing reviewing Biggle's Adventures in Time in her compound one night, Diamanda Hagan was shot dead by a gang of strident atheists. She found herself in the present, facing a reflection that was not her own and driven by an unknown force to review exploitation films from the 1930s. Her only guide on this journey is Alistair the Homeless Bastard, a drunken actor who only turns up in the Freaks review. And so Hagan finds herself leaping from reviewer to reviewer, watching ancient exploitation movies and hoping that her next leap will be the leap home.
Greetings, gentle viewers! Another leap into an obscure internet personality. Or at least I think he is. I don't know who the fuck he is. Whoever he is, he's got booze. Yum. Must be to dull the pain of being whoever he is. Anyway, another piece of the 1930s exploitation jigsaw. It's an important piece, a crowning piece, a piece that's labelled Torture Ship. I have no idea what's going to happen in this one, but here's my prediction. It'll be way more boring than any film with that title has the right to be. I'm pretty sure I've cracked the 1930s exploitation code. Wait a sec, suggested by the story? How the fuck did that happen? Did the story accost the producer in a bar and drunkenly tell him, here's an awesome idea for a movie? I have this amazing idea for a film, right? There's going to be a ship, and there's gonna be fucking torture on it. Well, we don't usually take submissions from works of fiction, but you were written by Jack London, so colour me interested. Also, maybe put a zombie in it too. Oh, an old damaged print stuck in a VHS for 30 years and then transferred badly to DVD. I think I've just hit some kind of movie bingo. I mean, look at the credits, they're having spasms. Of course, it could be laughing at some of the names of the cast. Half of them sound like characters in a 1950s pulp novel. I'm imagining the evil Leander de Cordova and his right-hand man Skeleton Nags being punched by the heroic Wheeler Oakman, Gardener of Justice.
Hey, looks kind of bad to the doc.
The guy's sure in a jam.
I think he's guilty. Well, it's pretty hard to figure out. You take it. Hello, Doc. Give us a statement, will you?
We indicted? How about harboring those criminals?
Hey, Doctor, what's your position on cold movie openings that appear without context? Also bow ties, fruity or harmlessly eccentric. So this doctor's been doing experiments on the endocrine gland in an effort to cure criminality, but the government's having none of it.
But you've got to do something, Doctor. If you're found guilty, it means prison. I intend to go on with my experiments regardless.
That is the plot of Reanimator 3. Now let's move beyond Reanimator and get back to talking about the government. They're going to jail him for using insane methods that clearly wouldn't work and would destroy countless lives in his effort to destroy criminality. When it's the fucking 30s! At this very moment, they were, in real life, using insane methods that clearly didn't work and destroy countless lives in an effort to destroy criminality. I can only assume that eugenics was a literal magic word. Anyway, the doctor decides on a plan. A plan that involves a ship and perhaps torture?
Don't look at me. I'm irrelevant.
Yeah, Boyd was telling me about you. I don't like the idea of being the goat for a doctor's experiment. There better not be any catching it. Don't worry, there won't be, or I wouldn't have helped you to escape.
The 30s! When men smoked in front of cinema screens, and women are not seen or heard, if they know what's good for them. And black people were often segregated to their own shots with even poorer rear projection. Machine gun slayer missing! Most people blame the Jews, or foreigners, or foreign Jews. In other news, a synagogue was burned down today. Local police blame anti-Semitic Jewish immigrants from abroad. John Ritter escapes? I'm gonna stay tuned for more on that. Actually, now that I think about it, this might be the real reason he left 8 simple rules for dating my daughter. Basically, the Doctor is enlisting America's worst gangsters to meet him on his ship. It's like the 30s equivalent of the first 40 minutes of the Avengers. But Nick Fury is white, and superheroes are gangsters. So it's exactly like a 30s version of the Avengers.
As my poor last wife used to say, the man who knows what's good for him knows what's good for him.
I yelled that back at her when I stabbed the bitch for the damn uninspiring quotations. The 1930s, when every newspaper was the Weekly World News. So what's going on? Oh, the Doctor's just planning to sail to international waters and perform his criminality-destroying experiments on America's worst gangsters.
Fire away. Well, first of all, what's this trip all about?
It's certainly not about defending the secrets to his tinny sound quality. Dude, I don't know if you're the captain, but if you're not, you're close to it. Why don't you already know what this trip's about? It's kind of necessary. And Doctor, if it's not necessary, why not just tell him you're searching for a giant ape? And after he spends weeks searching for Skull Island, laugh and tell him you meant Fatty Arbuckle.
I wanted you on this voyage because you're my nephew, and because you can take an order without question. Can I depend on that?
Of course.
So take an order and stop questioning me. You're making me look fucking incoherent. This is Bob, the Doctor's nephew and technically our hero, and as such he's suspicious about the unusual amount of world-famous criminals on board.
I'm beginning to understand. These men, your patients, they're all vicious criminals.
They're suffering from mental disorders.
That's why you came on this voyage. That's why you...
Jeez! Didn't take them long to rape someone.
Why, the reception committee, Doctor.
I heard a scream.
Oh, that.
I was just practicing. Anyway, introductions. This is one of the few people with a vagina anywhere near the film. She's a world-famous poisoner.
This is our captain, Mr. Bennett. How do you do?
Our captain. How interesting.
As a heterosexual woman, I instantly want to marry you. Holy shit! Look at that lab! They're on a boat! None of that is bolted down! You hit a storm and that whole room's gonna become an industrial-sized meat shredder.
Great man. You know, we're lucky to be studying under him.
Lucky.
Lucky? Pfft, I'd rather be delivering milk. I wouldn't even have to buy a new uniform. So along with all the criminals is this woman who I'm pretty sure escaped 13 women by stabbing reality with her fucking shoulder blades. This is probably her audition to star in a mid-80s sci-fi B-movie. You could use those things as runways. Yeah, she looks angsty for me to move on to something else, but fuck her. You could use those things to lay cement. She looks like a character from Flatland. She's literally giving birth to the 80s. She has really big shoulder pads. Anyway, this epic and gangster-filled meal scene also features Heinrich Himmler and is 30% constructed out of significant glances that aren't significant.
I guess you don't know who I am, huh?
No, I don't know.
You're kidding, aren't you?
This is Mr. John Ritter, the big shot killer.
His trademark is shooting people with Bullet Bill. I really wish I'd seen this in the 80s. The whole thing with John Ritter expecting everyone to know who he is would have been way funnier. Anyway, it took a short ice age, but they finally get down to business.
My experiments are on the endocrine glands.
Glands, huh?
You're gonna cut my nuts off? No, that's basically mainstream science at this moment, and I'm a mad scientist, so I'm going to reach inside your brain and probably shred your mind. Fair enough. I don't mind being a vegetable as long as hot nurses can still ride my big shot machine gun in my hospital bed.
That means operations. A little bit risky, huh?
Not as risky as the electric chair.
Hey, this brings up a question. Did he grab some or all of these people from death row? Because if he did, then it would surely be much cheaper and easier to just move to somewhere dodgy and buy some locals to experiment on. I mean, that worked for me. So the criminals don't feel like being operated on and hang out in their cabin to discuss mutiny. Of course, they can be heard by the Doctor and his assistants through I don't know if it's just an air vent or something that was deliberately installed. Is the Doctor smart or just lucky? Not knowing is going to drive me mad. Since he walks into the gangster's cabin and stands right in the middle of them, on balance it's probably number 2.
Doc, your coming here just solved our problem.
Well, except for the fact that we're all famous for killing people, and if we land in the USA, we're going to face trial, at best. And some of us were taken from death row, so we'd be facing certain death. And then there's the problem with... Shut up, Steve! I'm just saying we have other problems. Like, can anyone here pilot a ship? Oh, fuck yeah! Ass-kicking milkmen! That quick fighting-based diversion over, it's time to return to the HMS Torture Ship, one of the lesser-known Gilbert and Sullivan comic operas. In this scene, the blonde is furious and demands to know what the brunette did with her eyebrows.
I didn't take them. You gave them to the police. I tell you, I didn't. Sit down.
It then devolves into the blonde trying to replace her lost eyebrows by ripping the brunettes from her face. The doctors performed surgery on one of the gangsters. As per all the rules of logic, he chose the oldest and frailest guy to start with.
Come on. You ain't going to let it, Maya.
There's nothing to be frightened
You ain't
about.
going to let him.
The rule of logic being something like this. Choose the guy most likely to die in your experiment, then when you fail and he does die, you can convince yourself he died of old age and it's not your fault. It's like a firing squad having a single blank so that they can convince everyone that they never shot anybody. But applied to mad science.
Not the reaction I'd hoped for.
So the doctor's nephew, Captain Bob, has instantly fallen in love with the brunette. She claims she has nothing to do with Blondie's poisoning, even though she was jailed alongside Blondie for the poisonings, and we only have her word that she's innocent. What I'm saying is that this would be a really obvious trick if the 30s were capable of two-dimensional thought.
Hi, mate. Hello, how are you? Which way are we heading? Well, it looks to me like a cruise to nowhere.
Film studios are notoriously hard to navigate.
You been following the sea long? Oh, since I was about 14. Well, it's a pretty long time.
And I've got the pipe to prove it. So the criminals are being taken for operations one by one, and of course the ship's comedy foreigner decides to get a shave from the guy who slashed about half a dozen people to death.
Shaving her?
Yes, yes.
You said you would do me a favor sometime. How would you like to give me a shave?
The ship's branch of Mr. S. Todd's barber shop was closed.
And if you don't mind, I would like a close shave.
Don't worry, it's going to be plenty close.
You know it would be a massive plot twist if Knifey the Razor Boy doesn't try to kill him.
Ah, you are a good feller, by Yingo. Someday I shall do you a favor.
Although the guy could have just snapped after spending his whole life trying to work out what the fuck is going on with his accent.
Take a look and see what my public thinks about me.
Yeah, sure. Harry the Carver gets the fifth victim. Hey, up again.
He must have been late for drinks with the poisoner, or cornflakes with a serial killer.
Better make them tight. He'll sleep for several hours.
Awesome! Plenty of time. It doesn't count as rape if we're in international waters. Put your dick away, Jenkins. I won't say it again.
Who is it?
Bob, would you like to take a walk around day?
What the fuck? What the fuck? How did... Sorry, I need to make sure I saw that right.
Bob, would you like to take a walk around day?
Oh yeah. Okay. Makes more sense now. You know this camera is amazing. It's pitching and yawning in perfect time with the ship and everything and everyone on board. It makes everything look perfectly stationary. Anyway, the last guy to be operated on sleepwalks around, desperately searching for the source of the soundtrack that interrupted his coma. Well, according to the back of the box, he's a zombie now. They may have misunderstood literally everything that has ever had anything to do with zombies. Between this, Jim Crow, and a few other things, the 30s were really fucking stupid. And doesn't this score sound really disappointed with the murder? That's the useful thing about a score. It can be so loud, it hides the sound of your footsteps. The black things are being attacked by the slightly less black thing, and now a couple of other black things have entered the fray. This is like watching a ninja fight a drow in a coal mine. And it's been choreographed by the coal. Can you hear that? The projector's getting louder.
And Leon's getting larger.
We can't go on with our experiments. It's no use.
And I just don't have enough bottles. So he's decided that the surgery's not working because his artificial criminality destroying serum needs to just state or something in the adrenal gland of a non-criminal.
I must let nature do this work for me in the body of a normal person, like you. Or Paul, or Paul, or Paul, or Paul.
Psst, Paul. That's your cue to drop something.
He's not going to put that stuff in me.
Nor me.
So the doctor's nephew Bob was knocked out by the zombie earlier, and in a stroke of genius, the doctor finds his subject and frees up a bed by volunteering him to have the serum stuck in his head.
I know what you're thinking. Bob's my nephew.
Nah, ironically I was thinking Bob's your uncle. Anyway, you know what happens when you stick a bunch of criminality-destroying shit into a non-criminal's head? Same thing as when you stick it in a criminal's head. Zombie criminal. Bob won't commit larceny. Bob feel like vandalizing. Bob suddenly want to torn Game of Thrones. Bob want to jaywalk.
Bob, no. No.
Oh, he's got some better raping eyes. So Bob escapes, searching for some insider trading he can do, when one of the criminals arrives to kill the doctor. Luckily, his assistants arrive just in the nick of time.
Doctor! Doctor, what is it?
It's a man who does weird illegal experiments on a ship, but that's not important right now. Bob's on the loose. Hey, movie? How exactly does the adrenal gland know what laws are? Keep watching for that and other questions the film won't answer.
The adrenal stimulation has worn off.
His need to steal candy sated, Bob has fallen back into his coma, while the criminals have managed to steal the ship's weapons and ready themselves for mutiny. But more important than imminent peril, the brunette's in love with Bob.
You mustn't fall in love with him. I'm trying to save you that heartache.
Well, I do love him.
She didn't even get an insta-swim scene like the blonde. It's an Eros ex machina. This clearly should be her plotting something. As it is, it looks like she was overcome with lust thanks to her early enthusiasm for zombie rape.
Choking all them people. And yours wish you wasn't sick. Would fix you by Yango.
So the men search the ward for the missing guns, and this nearly literal Dick Tracy character ingeniously hides them in a box in the middle of the room that doesn't get searched. So maybe it was ingenious. Anyway, Bob's having a breakdown. It's the usual stuff that comes with a concussion, being experimented on, having brain surgery, getting turned into a criminal zombie, tied to a trolley, and forced to appear in torture ship.
Ritter was right. We're a bunch of guinea pigs. You're not going to touch me again. It's a madhouse! A madhouse!
You have Bob in here.
Go away, my dear. I'm very busy.
But I know you have him in here. Haven't you tortured him enough?
No, my dear. Haven't you seen the title of the film? So, through some mindless zaniness featuring Latvian Jasper Carrot and his fucking accent, the brunette ends up with a gun and a plan.
Hold it.
Very clever.
It is, actually. And so is this.
Release Bob, Doctor.
Take her to my study.
Let me go! Let me go!
While everyone was distracted, Bob took the cleverness to the next level by emptying the syringe meant for him, replacing its contents with water, and then pretending to be a zombie. Off screen, the doctor did his procedure on the blonde, and it's time to check some results.
She's quite normal.
That's why I sent for you, Doctor.
A good indication.
You were trying to cure her criminality. How the fuck do you know if she's okay? She's unconscious. Unless you could sleep illegally.
Bob!
Bob. Bob.
Bob! Bob. Bob, darling. Bob. Bob, dear.
Bob! Bob! Oh, fuck, it's contagious. Even his Morse code sounds like it's spelling out B-O-B. So after some more bullshit with the accent monster, Bob releases the criminals in exchange for their helping and saving the brunette from surgery as non-lethally as possible. Personally, I wonder why the criminals didn't just break themselves out. I mean, it's a flimsy wooden door, and they're happy to mutiny once they've been released. My favourite part of this shot, apart from the badly disguised landmass projected behind them because they're totally at sea, is this guy being signalled to walk the other way from just off screen. Now that's some Ed Wood shit right there.
Watch out down there!
No, you shoot zombies in the head. You shoot Lurch from the Addams Family in the head. You shoot Lurch from the Addams Family when he might be a zombie in the head. Sailor, let this be a lesson to you. Next time you try to beat Lurch from the Addams Family to death when he might be a zombie, remember your water wings.
We're taking over the boat, Briggs. As long as you obey orders, you're safe. You understand?
So Bob makes the acting captain message the doctor and assistants to come running so they can get the drop on them and rescue the brunette. And it occurs to me that this fig is sort of making the doctor's point for him. Bob only started doing shit like this when his adrenal gland was fucked with. You made my uncle bleed his own blood. So Bob, the brunette, the doctor and an assistant are in the safety of the ward. I don't know how. Bob ran in, but the doctor was shot in the next room. The next room that the gangsters have set up camp in, taking shots while they talk about rape so we don't have to.
How about the names?
The gangsters have also enslaved the comic relief for crimes against not being annoying, so they're not all bad.
Men, now that you've had your little repast, I must tell you something of serious importance.
From the surgery, the doctor's voice can be heard over the surveillance thing, warning them that due to the half-completed work, they'll soon die, like the old guy he operated on first. But surely the doctor was shot. Is he alive? Could he be a more traditional form of zombie? Or is it Bob using a magical translation towel?
And be sensible, men. Why die like rats when there's all of life ahead of you?
You know, I didn't see that coming.
Oh, do you think it'll work?
It's a chance. I hope they didn't recognize my voice.
The blonde wakes up and the operation worked like a charm, leaving us with the knowledge that if Bob hadn't released the criminals to rescue the brunette, then the world could have been free of crime forever.
I feel as if I had been born again.
I was right.
In most films, this happy ending would have been a deliberate attempt at pathos, but this film is way too stupid for that. So Flat Top steals some wine that was left in the hold. Unfortunately, it belonged to...
Poison Marys!
I like how he immediately starts eating cheese. Like it goes so well with wine that it will somehow neutralise the poison. Duly convinced by the best death timing known to man, the rest of the gangsters agree to enter the ward one by one to be cured. It's like an adaptation of Alfred Lord Tennyson's poem The Charge of the Light Grenade. This joke only works if you've seen Mum and Dad Save the World. Now, while getting this joke won't really make the review any better, seeing Mum and Dad Save the World is its own reward, so I suggest you do it.
I think we're gonna need some reinforcements out here.
And that's it. Bob and the brunette are a couple, the remaining criminals are going to be taken back to the States, and Wonder Accent is going to drown himself.
Hey, where you going? Hey, think I go home.
Suicide is funny when you don't know what the guy's saying. In the world of the film, the brain surgery was a success. It was ultimately proven to be a good thing, and yet Bob gets exactly zero blame for his part in the doctor's death and the loss of the process. But he is square-jawed, manly, and all-American, so maybe they just instantly forgave him. This is not the worst 30s exploitation I've seen, but equally not the best. It feels like a mishmash of gangster, mad science, and proto-zombie movie tropes. The romance was so fucking flimsy that the fact she's not secretly evil should count as a plot twist. Still, I was right that it was way more boring than it had any right to be. I'm Amanda Hagan, and I have to live with that every day. Oh, Amanda, you total cunt!